I couldn't do something like this and not talk about Chester a little bit. I mean, we've been covering the band for over 15 years, and that entire time, so even like the whole time he was still alive, I can't think of a single time I've ever heard anybody say a bad thing about Chester. Like, everybody loves Chester. Um, he was definitely a really complex person. Jeff shows a little bit of that in the book, but when you guys think of Chester, what do you think of? But like, what stands out the most?
For me, it's just his smile and purity, vulnerability, intensity, creativity, and literally the best times I had with him were the quiet times when we would sit out. I just got a house that the guys actually helped me move into, and there's some photos of them there. And Chester would come over to my house, and we'd sit on this like ledge overlooking the ocean, and it was just like we knew at that moment our future was ahead. And he's like, someday, and then like someday, I'm like, we're here now. And then when we were at another beach scenario in Rosarita Beach, and we looked out in the ocean, we both connected because we were always so looking for at the future rather than just being present and enjoying the present. Mm-hmm. and we really connected on that level. But he was such a genuine person, and he spoke immediately of what he was feeling, and he always wore his his feelings on his sleeve for the most part. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, it's the one thing that's so important is that we can look at everybody and go, oh, these people are the happiest people in the world. They've got it all. And people do that all the time, like, oh, you have nothing to be upset about. You've got this, that, and the other. And it's always materialistic. You've got this, you got that, and the other. You don't know what that person's feeling inside. Mm-hmm. And it's very difficult for many people to put everything aside and go, what are you really feeling? And the moments that with Chester that were really quiet ones were the ones I value the most.
Sure.
And for me, I made a comment before. To me, I call him the street soul, right? He was that vibe of the band. He was that punk rock that band needed, that kind of added that extra level to it. And everything about him was that. We early on, when there was a lot of international award shows, the band would send Chester and Joe. So I got to spend a lot of time with him early on. And, he not only was he really, really sharp, but he had a great sense of what it is in music that really matters, right? And he just really, it came out of him. That all that was just that the person you saw was really, I know it was complicated underneath, but he really kind of told a lot of what was going on in his life, or at least you could feel it. And I'm trying to think of how to put it, but it was just so smart because we would, eventually he was part of the group of, him and Rob would help put the initial list of bands that they would tour together. Mm. And he was so smart and knew what they should tour with and knew what the band should put through. And, it was really kind of cool to just watch him work. And we would talk a lot about what he wanted and when he was building his own little clothing lines and, the club tattoo stuff and all that. And it was just really, we would have nice long conversations early on. It grew distant as the years went on, but that was okay. You know what I mean? Sure. That's just the nature of having 6 guys in a band.
And one thing that I really appreciated about Chester was when we were going through all the drama in the studio, he would always come into my house. And even long after I left Warner Brothers, we would go out to dinner and he would just go, Jeff, this is what, what happened. He goes, it's all good. We love, there's a lot of love there still. And, he was very calming. He was very calming for me, at least. And he and I really had a special bond, especially, the minute we met, and that guy constantly was, no matter what, things would be going bad, but he would really keep a positive attitude. Even things when the band was almost hitting that breaking point, and he came in one time, he was like, guys, we're not giving up. This is it. Let's forge forward. And he just laid it all, I get into the book where he was just like spinning and like this, his emotions would just come out. He was genuine. Mm-hmm. And he didn't know how to control the authenticity. It was just it, which was great about him. Sure. It was just, he was authentic. And it's very rare because everybody else tries to put on such, a show, especially in our society now where everything is like here's our, you know, our social media, and this is what you see us as, because we can control that. He was just a very genuine person.
Mm-hmm. He was the kind of person that, because just in the couple times I've met him, he made you feel like you knew him when you really didn't. He was just good at that.
And that's the best type of artist.
That's an artist, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because you got to remember the singers, both Mike and Chester, they're the conduit, right? When a band's on stage, the energy of the band's going through them out to the audience, and the energy of the audience is coming back through them onto the band.
Sure.
Right. So when you're that kind of conduit, when you have that kind of connection, that kind of natural, unsaid connection, that's when I guess bands like this take it to this level.
Yeah,
you know?
the artists that make you feel like you want to be their friend, or they are your friend, and that they're speaking directly to you. That's again, I don't know if we brush on it, but that is what makes an artist or a person great. Anybody that you feel that you know them and they're speaking directly to you, and it's genuine.
And I don't know if that can be taught. I guess you can get as good as you can. You just gotta have it. It's just gotta be that, you know.
Yeah. Sure. Just last thing, sort of branching off the question about Chester here, but I just have to say, as someone who's dealt with a lot of my own mental health struggles, that I really appreciate Jeff's willingness to kind of open up about that in the book. It's always comforting when I look at somebody who I see as being more successful than me, but I also know that they go through some of the same stuff I do. So I know a lot of Linkin Park fans deal with similar things in their lives, and just with what we know about how Chester had, you know, with his struggles too, the whole mental health conversation is always going to be a big thing with this fan base. Jeff, I always feel like, just in the short time I've been talking to you, that it seems like you still look at, even through all the drama and everything that happened during your time with the band, that you look back on it positively, and that you're trying to be a positive force. So, I guess if you had to wear the motivational speaker's hat here for a second, like, what kind of positive message would you hope people take away from your book and what you're doing?
I think the one thing that anybody who is reading this book can get out of it is, if you have a dream and it's in your passion, it's authentic to you, and it's something that you really feel is important in your life and you want to give to the world, then you have to do it. You set a goal, achieve it, or do your best, and don't give up, because if you have the talent and the drive, you will succeed, you will achieve. And if you don't, you will open up other doors along the way to something that you feel passionate about. Because when you're doing something that makes you happy, you're going to get rejected no matter what. You're going to get rejected over and over again. But your journey is your journey and yours alone. So you can find different avenues that may open up other doors and may open up a window. And you may find your happiness in that. It's really important to remember that, and to be authentic to yourself, and not to give up, and find your truth, because your truth is not going to be what everything else is and what's popular, what's trending. It's your truth, and you need to find that, and that in there you will find your happiness.
Absolutely.
Nice and everyone good.
Came out. I just
Rob's got nothing to add. He's like,
yeah, I was like, ditto.
All right. So, first of all, I just want to say thank you guys so much for your time here. I wasn't expecting this to go as long as it did, but appreciate your time and being willing to do this.
No, it was a lot of fun. Like I said, it's the first time we've ever, in 20 years, I've probably ever talked this much about it.
Sure. Rob and I have actually done a couple music conferences where we sat down and talked, and it was a lot of fun. And we have a good rapport with that. And actually, we're really we're going to be doing a podcast, which is really interesting, where we actually go through the book and comment on the kind of life lessons and the career goals and the psychological effects that you can derive from each one of the chapters. And we will be having like guests on through the chapter that are mentioned in the chapters.
Yeah, because it's really important to understand that, like, the problems you may have, you're not alone, right? The way that you go through it, the perseverance, everything, these are all natural growth processes, right? And that's another thing about mental health. You're not alone. If you even feel alone, you've got to find ways to you got to just find people, and other people, please pay attention. If you know that someone's there, just pay attention to people. That's the we're all so busy. Everything's all so crazy. everyone should always pay attention and pick each other up. You know what I mean? It's a really messy time right now. That's why we've got to pick each other up.
Absolutely.
Listen. Yeah. If somebody says, "Hey, I'm really hurting," listen to them. The worst thing you could tell somebody is like, "Oh, you've got everything. You're going to be fine."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's reaching out to you. They're reaching out for a reason, and it's hard to reach out. It's hard to be vulnerable and tell somebody. They're not going to come out and go, "Hey, I'm thinking these horrible thoughts." They're going to express, "I'm going through a tough time." Even if they can't do that, that's very difficult to do, to admit you're going through a tough time. You've got to be able to listen and discern, why is this person really doing this? I mean, it's just something you're going to pick up on. It's something that's so important. Be there to listen. And if somebody the worst thing you tells me, and I talk to people who deal with depression all the time, do not tell them you're going to be fine, you've got everything, you're overreacting. You wouldn't believe how many people are told that. They tell me that's what their friends say. And be there, listen, and encourage them to talk to somebody professional and not to deal with any substances on their own that are not prescribed.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, Jeff, Rob, just want to plug anybody who wants to find Jeff. You're just Jeff Blue Music on pretty much all the socials, right?
Yeah, so my socials are all at Jeff Blue Music, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And my website is centuryparkentertainment.com and jeffbluemusic.com.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. And yeah, my Mad Mac Ent is my Instagram. You can just find me, my Mad Mac 71 on Facebook, and really you can hit me up at rob@madmacent.com. You know what I mean?
We will be doing a podcast, and we are also going to be doing some lectures at universities, educational, music, whatnot, and starting virtually this month, and hopefully going out and coming to college or university.
It's just fun. It's just, what? Listen, we're spreading the word. I couldn't be any happier for what the band's accomplished and for what the new generation of musicians that they've influenced are accomplishing. It's pretty amazing, actually.
Awesome.
So,
congrats to all you fans out there, and to obviously Linkin Park for touching so many lives. And again, thank you, everybody, LPLive and all the other Linkin fan sites for keeping this music alive.
Yeah. And thanks for just listening to us. I was happy to be a small part of it. You know what I mean?
Likewise.
So. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys. I'm going to put a link to, when this gets posted, I'll put a link to One Step Closer from 0 to number 1, Becoming Linkin Park. The Amazon link will be in the description. And anything else, you can always find LPLive at LPLive on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and LPLive.com. All right. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
really
man.
cool.
Thanks for putting up with it.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.